Thank you, Rajul. Tim Wheeler said this morning that IFPRI had been a thought leader on gender. Not all thought leaders have the same kind of impact that IFPRI has had. Remembering from the American historical perspective, Abigail Adams, who's told her husband, "Don't forget the ladies." He didn't really remember them. She was a thought leader, but she didn't have that impact. IFPRI has. Since the 1990s, IFPRI began as a lonely voice, but its constant work in evidence-based, in extensive analysis, and a plethora of projects, papers, and in many countries, created a rich fabric of work and much, much more data for all of us to use. And now it's come to the point for those of us who ignore the gender roles, if we're working in agriculture and agriculture development, agriculture production, we do so at our own expense, at the expense of the effectiveness of our results. This is true for donors and for implementing countries. And one role model that we've seen this morning is Bangladesh. Now, a couple of speakers or commenters today, Aissatou Diallo for one, Mr. Wang for another, talked about the importance of political will. And I want to start with that with when we think about where we need to be in the future. Where should we be in 2030? And what should we achieve? Well, first, we can foresee or hope for a world where all women working in agriculture can read, write, and count. Where women working in agriculture, living in rural areas, have equal access to land, to inheritance, to financial options, to inputs, to extension, to education, to markets, to business opportunities. And where women have the health good enough to be able to pursue active and productive opportunities. What do we do in order to get there? One, political will. Commitments from countries, leaderships at all levels, and from donors and other actors at all levels, that they will pay attention to the roles of women and men, and then they will create their policies around how best to support those roles in the future. We have to hold stakeholders accountable for what they say they're going to do, for actually doing so. And some of the programs and the measures that IFPRI has created can help to do that. We have to always start research with the inclusion of women and men in households, as IFPRI has done, but that needs to be extended throughout the world, to other entities as well. We need to ensure that women's health is supported and enhanced. We need to do a lot better job of connecting agriculture, nutrition, and health. It's still an area where we're too siloed and we haven't paid enough attention to the cross purposes and missions. We have to continue to build on efforts toward increasing breastfeeding and having it be understood as being critical, and increasing the opportunities for women to have access to food while they are breastfeeding. We have to ensure that extension, both formal and informal, can reach women and men, and especially that they can reach women in the percentages of women who are working in agriculture. We have to extend access to financial services. We have to be much more aggressive and support actors who are much more aggressive in creating legal rights and community practice rights for female land ownership. And finally, and I think most importantly, we need to support literacy for women and developing more literacy programs for women. Imagine you cannot be a productive farmer if you cannot read and write and count. And ultimately, we have to be sure that every girl in the world is educated. We can't just say, okay, we've met the Millennium Development Goals, that all girls and boys are enrolled in school. That's nowhere near enough. So when we talk about gender, some people talk about it from the perspective of their passion for women and their passion for equality and opportunity. And whether we share that passion or not is not the key point. The key point is that if we care about productivity, if we care about being able to produce enough food to feed not only a growing population, but growing incomes of our population, then we must invest and prioritize in women because their success is going to be crucial to the world's success. IFPRI has worked visibly, measurably, to put this issue on the front of agriculture and nutrition policies by following its data collected and creating actions ourselves. We can envision a 2030 that will be significantly improved and better than today because women will be visible and important throughout. Thank you.